Infinity Blades was alright.
How dare you say it's alright? That thing was fucking gaming magic when it first came out.
It was alright.
You didn't play it, did you?
I started it and never finished it because I got bored.
Yeah, see, that's the problem right there. It's a fucking mobile game, god damn it. Like, the fact that during that time it came up with something not only so innovative.
I know, we've talked about this. I loved what they were trying to do, but at the pace that they were keeping up content and how little the developers were working on it because they kept pulling from the studio, how could you expect anyone to not get bored?
I mean, it had a story. Like,
No,
the first one, not so much story, but by the time you get to the second and third one, it's basically all story with combat.
yeah, no, I'm with you. But the problem is Epic Games.
Epic Games sucks.
Like, be real. Like aside from Fortnite, think of it. Can you think of another game that Epic Games actually stuck with and kept updates on?
That's
They
a
did. They
great
shut.
question.
They shut Infinity Blade down, didn't they?
Yes, they
Right?
did. They took it all away.
There you
Took
go.
all of it
My
away.
point. My point stands. My point stands, Jason. I told you, man. Epic Games sometimes, like EA and Epic Games, they fall into the thing where it's like there's times where they straight up. It just feels like they don't care about their games. Does that make sense? Like they just like, all right, whatever.
No, I know what you mean, and it's sad. I wonder if things will change with game studios, or is it just gonna have to be people like us that decide to make our own and then run away with it? Like, I was looking at the original Tomb Raider. That costs $0 to make in this day and age. Yet that was hundreds of thousands of dollars when it was first developed. You know what I
You mean
mean?
like the old school,
Mm-hmm.
like
The
where her
polygons.
nipples, her nipples were triangles?
Yeah, polygon. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, also, I was talking to my friend Chris about this on a side tangent to your side tangent to your side tangent.
Uh huh.
I really wish they brought back, even though, listen, it's crazy because even though I wasn't like the biggest fan of it, I miss
Mm-hmm.
the diversity of even once in a while just having a couple of pixel games here, maybe some 2D here, maybe some
Yes.
platformer here, just a variety. You know what I'm saying? I was never a platform guy, never was. It just wasn't
Mm-hmm.
for me. I always found the puzzles too simple and I always got kind of bored. That's just my thing. But I miss having the diversity and having the options. And the problem that happens is now everybody or every game sells out and tries to completely like go super hard and overachieve that they end up failing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like certain concepts, it's okay if it's 2D. It doesn't need to be 3D. You know, like Pokemon is the best example that works. The reason I said it worked is because whether you dislike Pokemon now or like Pokemon now doesn't matter. They took their time. How long were people begging Pokemon to update graphics? And Pokemon was like, no, no, no,
It
no.
was a
We like you
great
like
thing
this.
that they didn't. I agreed with it.
But then now when they did, now that they did, you like even if you my problem with the current Pokemon games isn't the visuals. Everything looks like
Mm-hmm.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. Even the open world thing, they waited so long, worked so long, so hard on it that it all feels well made. My problem with the Pokemon currently, and again, I like it, but I think the stories have gotten a little cornier, and I
Mm-hmm.
wish the games got a little harder. But that's also me looking at it as an adult because if I was also a 10-year-old, it would still be my favorite game.
Yes, I I want to do something like that, like us. But to keep bouncing off your point, what makes the original Pokemon games, I would say, generations one to, and I'll be lenient here, 1 to 5, because 5 was fun. I won't lie. Is one, yes, the story, the simplicity, just the slow evolution of the graphics, but it felt like there were things that were a mystery, and there were times where it felt like there should be more, but you don't know if there isn't anymore. You know, like, you could, in Pokemon Emerald, you can get a mystery gift and you can get different types of tickets. If you're not,
Mm-hmm.
up to date on those things, meaning you didn't get one of the books to help, like one of those guidebooks, then you didn't really know where to go so much in that last, like, 15-20% of the game. You know what I mean? Because the first, what? I would say like 50% of the game is the main story, right?
Yeah.
And then there's 30% post credit stuff. Even in something like Pokemon Emerald, maybe I would say it's more like 60-20. You know, and then it would feel like that last 20, maybe last like 10% during that generation, like 5 to 10% for generations 1 to 3, were a mystery. Like you actually had to go figure that out. How the fuck did anybody figure out the Reggie Ice, the Reggie Rock?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That you're
Go find the red Gyarados. Where's Mewtwo? Like those type of stuff.
like, what are you talking about? No one just figured that out. That people probably
Yeah,
did, but you get what I mean.
I get what you mean. But you know what? Uh, it's why I think honestly one of the best ran franchises is Pokemon because they did get rid of some of the mystery, but then they brought stuff that genuinely was like in the newer ones where I was like, damn, like Pokemon is the only game. Like there are games that the DLC is worth it. Pokemon is one that is always worth it. It's like the latest one.
Mm,
The DLC literally gave you access to a whole other island and a whole another like slew of 8 badges. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, oh,
yeah.
this is a whole other game. And so they did well with that. And then the newest one with the open world stuff. Again,
Mm,
I'm not the biggest fan of open world style games for like Pokemon,
mm,
but I can see the appeal. Some people really liked it. But one thing you can do in the newest one that I think is just as interesting thing is there is no set order. It's just these three branches of the storyline: research, I guess like the equivalent of what would be like Rocket, Team
mm.
Rocket,
Yeah.
and the badges, and you can do them in any order you want. And if you go to like a certain level, like you know how uh in the old games you go to like Victory Road, there's Pokemon that are like higher level and stuff. But in this one, you're able to access that way early. So there's times where you have like a level 10 and you run into a level 30 Pokemon that's aggressive, and you either got to run away or it's gonna cook
Mm,
you or like. And I like that little aspect of like if you are gonna do open world, I think that's the way you do it. It's
yeah.
just I prefer it a little bit more of the nuanced story for me personally. But I can see why they did that, and I can see the appeal. I'm not mad at them that they did that. But if I'm just being selfish about it, if that makes sense.
I just miss the quality of the side games. I miss Mystery Dungeon, and I know they did it
Oh
for
yeah,
every
yeah, 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 yeah. Those are the good
Mystery
times. Those are old
Dungeon were
days.
so good. I played Time originally, but then Sky added some stuff, and it was like the Pokemon Platinum of the Mystery Dungeons games, where you had Time and Darkness, which I don't know how those are opposites, but okay. And then Sky came. I don't know. Whatever. I was still with it. Another side game was the Pokemon Rangers game, and specifically Shadows of Almia. And when you replay it as an adult or anywhere after the age of truly like 17, 18, you go, dialogue's a little, it don't really hold up, you know? And that's to be expected. It is what it is. You can't expect tens across the board. Uh, but I miss that, like those pixel art games. I miss those stories. It felt like the developers for those specific games were really trying. We're really
Yeah,
really trying because
yeah, I
are we
get
going to
that.
get funded again? We're not a mainline story game. They don't need us. Anything that isn't a main Pokemon game is not really needed. We're for fun.
Yeah, I mean that's what ends up happening, and then but that's what makes that's I think what is the beauty of that Pokemon Studio Nintendo is they're willing to take a couple home run swings, right? But they're in no rush for sequels. They don't just
Yeah.
pump out like aside from the main storyline, those side games they don't pump out side games just to do it. Like what are we? 20 geez. Actually let me look it up so I can give you a legit time frame,
Yeah, we're
right?
dude, we're deep into this. And I miss Coliseum, I miss Stadium.
Yeah, that's what I
I
was gonna say,
miss
dude. Pokemon Stadium came out 2000. They are like that, and they're stubborn with their IPs, and they don't just throw out sequels to throw out sequels. Like one of my favorite non-mainline games, Pokemon Snap. The original game came out in '94, right? And
mm,
the newer one, if I'm not mistaken, came out 2022. I could be wrong, but around that time period. And
yeah.
we're talking again, almost 20-year difference, and it was better off for it. At the time, I was like, oh man, I don't want to. Who's gonna want to play this? It's been so long. But then when I played it, it almost feels like they go either way to make sure, like they're not releasing bullshit. I'm sorry, 2021 for Pokemon side.
Mm.
They're not releasing games. Their side games. They don't release games just to release it. You know, people are still waiting, like you said, on Pokemon Coliseum. I guess remake.
You don't
Like when
really even
Pokemon
need it
announces a
anymore.
remake,
That's the thing. You don't even need it with the
when,
with the graphics update that we now have.
I know, dude. When people think about this, Pokemon is literally the only fan base I know, right?
Mm.
That legit, and I think that their system is so flawless with this. Essentially, what they do is every year and a half, a new Pokemon game comes out. What do? Remake of one of the old ones you like, and then a new
Mm.
mainline story, and then in between that, sprinkle a sequel or a brand new original type of game. Uh, for example, like Pokemon Unite, Pokemon, the one where they fight each other. I
Yeah, I
didn't play
couldn't
that
get
one.
into it. Yeah, but I hear you.
And I know a lot of people who love that game. It just
Mm.
wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Um, but I just think, in terms of all the other studios, how they do it, I think Pokemon has like a really good grasp on what they want to do, really good control on their IP, and really good control on the fan base because they do a good job of making people tune in, buy the new game, really enjoy it, do a little bit. Like, dude, like you think, think about this, Jason. You
Mm.
think when you were like little, right? Little, you're playing fucking Emerald, Sapphire. Do you think there was ever a world that you could imagine that Pokemon Arceus when it came out? A throwback to like when they're in fucking ninja times and the Pokemon actually roam free and shit, and you have to crap like hell no, nobody would ever imagine that. But
Yeah.
they did do that. Again, one of my least favorite Pokemon games ever. But I have a friend, my friend Brian. You met him. It's one of his favorites, and it's like that. That's what I think is so cool about like the Pokemon Studios, how they do their thing. And they go out of their way to, I guess, in a way, opposite of Smash, where they Smash has gotten to a point where it almost feels like it's punishing you for playing online or playing like doing like tournaments without them. Pokemon kind of encourages you to do your own thing. You know, like
Mm.
if you wanna, like they have it set up. So I mean, the Wonder Trade system, all this stuff for you to have these abilities to do things without having to do it through them. And Pokemon really operates like that. Even I mean, dude, the fucking massive goddamn business that was Pokemon Go. Holy shit, what a home run for them.
Yeah.
That's a monument. That's a generational game. You know, a generational game that they never have to drop a sequel to ever. They never have to drop a sequel to that game.
I
Like it's
think
crazy.
I think we're something like Power World. I mean, is Power World still doing good? Is it? I don't know.
Um,
Either way, I just feel like if you want the type of recognition that a Pokemon, that any kind of Nintendo game has had, it's not just the exclusivity. Because then you got to think about PlayStation and Sony and why is it their stuff still doesn't feel quite like that. And you could say it's because, well, things have been ported to PC now, but I think it goes back to what I said of there's a mystery. And maybe it wasn't necessarily planned from the beginning, or maybe it was, and because of inner producer studio workings, things get, sidetracked. And like it's kind of like how you said in your Venom review. It felt almost like the studio was seeing what was happening and went, yeah, let's do this now. It's like we would have to redo the whole film for this to truly make sense. It's like, no, 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 do it from here and it'll work. Trust me, my dad's rich. It's one of those types of
mhm.
people. But I think the thing that's really, I think we can be the people who make a type of game and a type of franchise that feels fun like this again. We were playing Mario Party Jamboree at your house, and I really enjoyed it. Honestly, it was the most fun I've had with a Mario Party. I would say
Yeah,
since.
so sorry to cut you off,
Go
but
ahead.
so I don't forget, but for the little Mario Party, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what producers they got, but those guys that they got it. Like whoever worked on this game, just if you're ever gonna make another one, keep it on there. They
Yeah,
understood
they
time.
know what
They
they're
understood
doing.
nostalgia with the. Yeah, they really hit a home run, especially in comparison to what Super Mario Party the original Switch game was.
Mm-hmm.
This one is a lot smoother, a lot better, and a lot more fun, and a lot different. Like it's so different, but so the same. It's so hard to explain. Like, and that's what you want from, another sequel to a long running franchise.
It's also adjusting the rules and the algorithm that they use. Because I'm not gonna lie, dude, it feels like sometimes like somebody sucked off Mr. Nintendo before we started the game, and they're just getting all the luck in the world. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
But it really felt like I was playing Mario Party like 7 or 8, or the first one I ever played was 4 on the GameCube, but
Hmm.
7 or 8 when 7 was still on the GameCube, and then we got the Wii. You know what I mean? In the Wii, I'm pretty sure 8 was the first one on there. Yeah, it definitely was, and it was so fun, and it felt like what the Switch version should have been. Like Jamboree feels like this should have been the first Mario Party that they put out. Felt like they put a
Yeah.
bunch of fluff in between with this Super Mario Party, and it was too limiting. They
Yeah.
yeah, the games just felt too small in where can we expand to in the next game if you're gonna keep it this tight. Like I don't know, I didn't
You
understand
know
it.
what? You know what happened, and it happens to all the game studios, which is why you didn't feel that much effect because Xbox Connect and PlayStation's was I forget what it was called,
Mm-hmm.
but there was a time frame where the gaming companies swore that motion censored was the future,
Oh
and
god.
but the problem was the
Mm-hmm.
tech wasn't good enough for these games to be good enough, so no one actually enjoyed it. Like there's
Yeah.
some games. There's the Wii Sports, Wii Resorts. Obviously, yes, those were good. But like, a lot of these other motion censored games with the Connect, with the PlayStation thing that I'm forgetting. Sorry. And
No, it's
the
okay.
Wii.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, a lot of them flopped. Like, like they even tried to put Call of Duty on motion censored on the Wii, and it
Mm-hmm.
just wasn't good. Remember literally fucking the Tony Hawk game almost killed the franchise. Um,
Yeah.
well, and
Yeah.
so now, if you look at Jamboree, the best thing they did was giving you the options. You want to play with the motion sensor game? Cool. We have a
Mm-hmm.
shit ton of them. You don't? Cool. We have a shit ton more games. You don't have to use it.
Exactly.
And that
Just wanted options, man. We just wanted
little bit of
options.
freedom goes a long way in the gaming community,
Yeah.
and it's crazy how it feels like Jason. You're not a big Call of Duty guy, right?
No. I was
Wouldn't you
gonna.
be more
I'm
inclined to Call
glad
of
you
Duty?
brought that up. I was just about to bring that up. To.
Wouldn't you? A perfect segue. Wouldn't you be more inclined to playing Call of Duty? Just hear me out. If at
Okay.
any point in time you could just not even go and change your name, nothing. You could just change your hair, eye color, things you're not even gonna see because it's a point of view, but it makes you feel more personalized with the character. And that's my thing with video games. Unless it's like a main IP, like unless you're playing a game like Dragon Ball Z where it's Goku. If you're playing
Mm.
something like Call of Duty, where aside from a handful of characters like Ghost, but insert this army person, brand new character, what's stopping you from allowing the players to have a little bit of? It could be limited. They just change their hair color or eye color, make it feel a little bit more personalized. And like, I feel like those are little elements of RPG, in my opinion, that should be a borderline standard in gaming today, especially for new projects and new type of characters. Even if you never change your name, even if nothing, like an Assassin's Creed, even if I had to unlock it or whatever, is it really that big of a deal if his outfit is white or blue? You know what I'm saying? Like little things like that, but that makes all the difference to the player, but not that much of the difference to the studio. Does that make sense? And like I feel like again, to my point that I was saying is like giving even a little bit more control to your player and your fan base brings a lot more love from the player and fan base. You know?
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. It's. I also miss the expansion upon things. Like you had. Sorry to bring it back to Pokemon, but you had Diamond and Pearl. You had Emerald, Sapphire, Ruby. I feel like they were just. You could expand on things, go in different directions. Like the Zelda games. Not every Zelda game looked the same, and that's okay. You know what I
Yeah, like
mean?
I'm not gonna play the newest Zelda game. I have no interest. I'm a Link guy. So once they were like play with Zelda in this art style, I was like, oof, not for me. But I love the fact that it's there. Like that's a nice different thing. You're playing as Zelda in this other art style. You're actually Zelda, and then she has all these different cool moves, and it's cool. It's interesting. I bought the Peach game for my girlfriend, where she is the you play as Peach, and Peach can turn into a ninja and shit. Now, me, I never played it. I watched her play it a shit ton. It was really cute and really, really fun to watch her play. She was so excited. Peach is one of her favorite characters.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome, you know. And Nintendo used to do that a lot. We would get Diddy. We even got a Diddy Kong game. You know, we got the DK games. We would get Wario games. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like and to your
Wario was
point, yeah.
so fun. Like that's the other thing too. The original. I mean, I know everybody and their mother loves the original Super Mario game, but they really did things right. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm very excited to see where we're gonna go in this direction. How we can influence and how we can help other people.
And
You
also,
know,
my boy Waluigi needs his own video game.
Waluigi
Y'all been,
needs his own new video game. I agree with this, brother.
y'all been dodging on him. And Mario Party Jamboree, he has the freshest cut out of all the Mario Bros. So
Nah.
y'all give that man a game, bro. You know I've pitched this for years. For years, it's such an easy concept that I think they should just do.
What?
Mario goes to save Peach, and he actually loses, and Bowser
Okay.
captures him.
Oh,
Luigi's
okay.
scared.
Mm-hmm.
Luigi doesn't know what to do. So Luigi, what does he do? He goes and recruits Waluigi and Wario. I know they don't like each other, but he's like, hey, you know,
Mm-hmm.
enemy of my enemy is my friend. We, if we don't stop Bowser, he's gonna fuck all of us. And Mario's not here this time, so it's up to
Mm-hmm.
us. And like that'd be a nice little different, like having to see that dynamic, and they could really write something nice. I loved it. It's like all these characters, man. You could really like what the. It's incredible the idea that spawned Luigi's Mansion. You know what I'm saying?
Seriously,
Like
what?
that.
Would I love that idea?
Like, what a unique take on a character. You know he was a scaredy cat, putting him in that scenario, letting him run his own main game, and look at everything that came, all the benefits, all the beauty, and then great games that we've gotten from it since. So I agree with you. And we're using Mario as context, but I hope that in the future we can get a couple other games that are willing to do the same thing. I know Marvel is trying to, we're gonna get the Wolverine solo game made by the Spider-Man studio. It is supposed to be rated M. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see how that goes. But
Rated
if that goes,
M. That's gonna be interesting.
I just think right now, you know what it is, Jason. We're in a reverse of the past.
Okay.
Things are changing because now people love playing with each other,
Mm-hmm.
but we're in a market with now the generation that likes playing with each other, like our generation when we were younger, not only did we like playing with each other, all right, but also we just like playing video games in general is more easily accessible to all of us. So more of our generation's playing games as an adult. And so when
Mm-hmm.
that happens, you have to find it's a very hard balance, but you have to push out uh, concepts that also appeal to the solo older gamer. So it's like me myself, like if Wolverine came out and you told me, hey, it's rated E, it's Lego.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
This is
yeah, I could
Lego.
play this with my,
You want to
you know,
know
I,
something? Oh God,
I could
this is.
play,
Yeah. Go
could
ahead.
play with my kid. I could play with my kids, and that's cool. But we kind of like we already got a couple Lego games. We have a couple X-Men games. Like we have Ultimate Alliance, the Marvel game. Like you could play with your kids. Like
Mm-hmm.
you know, I think a lot of the gaming community is kind of clamoring for like those type of games that we would and otherwise never be able to get. When the hell, like when in throughout your childhood, especially after, because they used to do it a little bit before our generation. So like my brothers, it's like 10 years older than us. They got a couple rated C and M games, like the original Spider-Man. They got a couple of them, but they didn't really get a lot of them to really explore them. So now you're really getting like that's where you got the Wolverine coming in. Even the Batman Arkham series was kind of like scaled a little older team, and
Mm-hmm.
so you're getting a lot of these games, and people are wanting to do that. And I think again, if the game's made right, dude, if the game's made right, it can rival, if not surpass, the movie franchises. Like, I'm not a person who speaks in this and like this, but I know enough people who, hey, they could put up a good argument as to why Sony Spider-Man, the video games Peter, is better than some of the live-action Peters. Now, do I agree? I don't know. I haven't
Yeah, you
done the
can argue.
breakdown.
You can definitely
But you,
argue that.
there's at least some points, right? There's
Yeah.
something you can talk about. So, yeah. So
I
I
wanted
think,
to I wanted to touch back on the rating thing, like with Wolverine being rated M, which is interesting because I've been watching the Transformers movies. I finished the first one, and I've been watching the second one, Revenge of the Fallen, and
yeah, the
we
Shia LaBeouf movies.
yes, the good ones. You know, it's
Shout out to that movie, man. I love
crazy
that
to
first one, second one.
it's crazy to think that we just don't get movies like this anymore. And yes, I know there's some continuity issues with the shots and everything like that. I get it. And for the people developing it at the time, I don't think really knew what to do with it. Transformers is so lore dense and so interesting when you really
Shout out to
look at it.
director Shout out to director Michael Bay for not saving any expense in terms of destruction and carnage. Like, those movies had a little bit of a Fast and Furious vibe with them, but because they're giant robots, it still makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But he did not care. He was like, "Oh, what is that? We need to cross 9 cars. Fuck it, blow the budget. I don't give a fuck." You know, those movies were crazy with all the destruction. I'm sorry. Continue what you're saying.
Thank you, sir. It like the first one, I get it, the hot girl, the tropes and whatever. It was never my thing, but I can appreciate it. It's still very American Pie, as you said, Fast and Furious esque. And I wonder when we're gonna get that again, whether it happens to be a director or a producer who puts their foot down and says, "Let this man make his movie. Let him make his movie. Let him do his art. He's gonna make it well. You have to trust in the process." It's when people decide that they are better writers than the people who originally wrote the story that it just goes down a poor path. We can name handfuls of animes that were retwisted from their original manga form, and they just didn't come out the way that they should have. Full Metal Alchemist got an apology in the form of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, because it's like, okay, maybe we shouldn't have went off on our own and made it so Greed was actually their brother. And you know what, sorry I didn't say no spoilers, but it's not bad. That anime in particular is not bad. It's just
Yeah, I was gonna say,
pretty.
hey Jason, you picked one of the better ones. Like, at least pick one of the
Yes,
shittier ones to compare. Because at least that one still had a little value to it. I still enjoyed it.
it's bad in comparison to what the actual story was. So the original
Yeah.
Full Metal is bad compared to Brotherhood, but it's not a bad anime. And there's
Um.
so many that
Yeah.
do this, and I want to see good Transformers movies. I wish they were rated R. That was my main
Well,
thing. Rated
here's
R
the
would
crazy
crush
thing.
it.
Here's the crazy thing. Like, the problem too, dude, is also a little bit of society's fault. Like, the new Transformers, by all accounts, have not watched it, but Transformers One, I believe, it's like a prequel. Chris Hemsworth voices Optimus. It's an animated film. Apparently, by all accounts, everyone watched it. It was like really, really good, but no one watched it. Um,
Yeah,
and
I
so,
couldn't. Yeah, no, I'm okay. I don't need it. I don't.
and then to your point about, I think I wanna make it a little bit more nuanced. It's not only just when a person thinks they know better than the original source material. It's also when they don't care the source material. Because, for example,
Hmm.
the last time that a studio, and this is the last this is recent, the last time a studio gave up this much control to a a person that's involved in the film, the last one was Deadpool Wolverine. Ryan Reynolds has gotten so much control of that. Ryan Reynolds runs the marketing. He's
Thank
executive
God.
producer. He
Yeah.
wrote half the story. He's the main actor. He brought on Hugh Jackman. He's the one, bro. Like, he's the one who turned down apparently a bunch of different cameos that Marvel wanted in there. He turned them down. Like, the one that I said in our group chat, She-Hulk. The
Yeah.
actress She-Hulk came out and she said I wasn't in the movie because Ryan said no. Ryan turned him down. He's like, she does not fit here. And
Yeah, and people try to make that sound bad, but that's not a bad thing. You just have to know when it's like, it's my story, and I will take your suggestions into account. But if I just don't feel like it's a good fit for the movie, why do that? I'm gonna
yeah,
lower the quality of the film just because you guys think it's such a fantabulous idea to spend a whole bunch of money to get a cameo of somebody that no one actually really knows. She's just this actress who plays this character. No
yeah,
one knows her.
and Ryan probably had the forethought of, well, here's the problem. Like from a comic book standpoint, Jason, here's the problem with having Deadpool and She-Hulk in the same movie is that they both break the fourth wall in the comics. That's like a thing. She-Hulk doesn't do it to the extent of Deadpool, but enough that they've run into some issues. So the only
Mm-hmm.
way you circumvent this is either A, she's not in the movie, or B, the movie's about them two because they know they're in a movie. And so it
Yeah.
doesn't work unless you change the whole plot. Like it would have to be Deadpool, Wolverine, and She-Hulk, not just Deadpool and Wolverine. Because like, unless you do like a 30-second cameo, and like you said, at that point, you're trying to introduce all these X-Men characters and Fox characters. Like, don't just force all these. So it wouldn't work. So I totally understand why you shut it down. Now, the like Marvel is like very they're like historically had been very controlling and
Mm-hmm.
they have been very involved. Same thing with Sony. Um, the thing is, it's like what you said, and it's how Deadpool or Ryan was able to be so successful with these movies and his approach. Is he's pretty much said, uh, if I'm not fucking with it, we're not
Jason.
doing it, and if we're not gonna do it, I'm off the movie. And he's pretty much put his like quote unquote career or his Deadpool character on the line multiple times. There's like a timeline of it, of
Mm-hmm.
multiple things. Like and so before Deadpool Wolverine came out, they were gonna do a giant Deadpool Christmas special. Um, apparently it was very by all accounts
Expensive.
not that expensive, but it was gonna be Deadpool was gonna go. He's gonna the main antagonist was gonna be Santa Claus. Don't worry, it's a Marvel character. Don't worry, he's actually
Yes.
a mutant.
Yes. Like.
Um, but but they were gonna do the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Insert Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman agrees to come back as Wolverine. They tell him, okay, so can we put Wolverine in that movie? And Ryan goes, no, and scrap the whole movie. He's like, no, because now it doesn't make sense with the plot. As much as I love Hugh, this isn't the movie we bring Hugh in. And so instead of pushing or rushing through that movie to then do this one,
Mm-hmm.
or instead of forcing this character to fit this storyline, he was like, you know what? Let's scrap this. We'll come up with something else. And sometimes, and he said that he loved the Christmas special, like what he wrote for. He loved the idea of it, but it wasn't going to work. And
Yeah.
sometimes a lot of producers and a lot of studios, cough, cough, Netflix. You have if it's not working, it's okay to be like, hey, we're gonna scrap this. It's not working. We're gonna scrap this, and in 2 or 3 years, we'll come out with something better. It's okay to do that. Like you know what I'm saying? Like so, it would suck, but it's okay to do that. Like a lot of people in the got mad that the DCEU, the Batgirl movie, got canceled before release and was done filming. Now I feel terrible for the people who worked on that, the actors, the producers, everyone that was on that. I feel terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Now that being said, I want a Batgirl film. Of course, I would have loved to see that film. But if that film was going to do more harm than good, then I don't want to see that film. So like as much as like these studios pour their hearts, their money, their efforts, if it's bad, it's just bad.
I don't know about
And
their hearts.
you get what I'm saying? Well, because like like Jason, it's like how many times have you heard of a director? He had a clear vision, he poured his heart into it. This is what he wanted to do. His studio comes in and changes it. Like you know what I'm saying? Or maybe
Oh,
not the
you mean
studio, but like
Avatar: The Last Airbender? You mean how that disgusting pile of garbage, that disrespectful thing? I was typing it in the search bar, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I accidentally typed in Avatar disgusting, and honestly, it still gives me the same result. Just this. What is this nonsense? Yes, we're gonna do the videos.
and we're gonna have
God.
we're gonna have a lot of things like that. So sometimes you need a good look. The writers left Deadpool. Different actors on set left Deadpool when it come back. and not like mad at Ryan or anything. They're just like, no, it's not the direction we're going in. And
I just, yeah,
they stuck
no, I don't want to see any
Ryan.
movies. I don't want to see any movies from Avatar. I don't want to see any of this shit. It's not from the original writers. They haven't done anything since Korra. They disrespected them at the end of Korra by taking them off TV and putting them online, and then they stole their show from them after they fucking promised that they would let them have free reign to do their thing, and they didn't let them do that. And it's horrible. And the fact
But
that
that's
it's
what
even a 7.2, a 7.2, you are out of your goddamn mind if you think 7.2.
But that's exactly what I'm getting at. The best thing that Marvel did was they didn't do that. At least for Marvel and I guess Fox is that they didn't do that to Ryan. And that's why Deadpool, whether you
Mm.
like the movies or not, each of them has been more successful than the last. Whether you're in love with them or not. And I personally lean towards liking most of them, and I personally do think the last one was the best one. Maybe one day I'll do a review. Stay tuned. But that's why. So then you have that, and you have Marvel with all these different characters, all this different stuff.
Mm.
They are going to need some of these writers, like you're saying, some of these actors, some of these people to do the pushback on the studio, to be like, hey, we're not running this. You know what I'm saying? Like, and actually, if you care about your character, show that you care about your character. Now, don't get
Mm.
me wrong, nothing's wrong. There's nothing wrong with getting a paycheck. If that's you, that's you. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying if you're looking to fix some of the things that are gone wrong, you know, um, like did you hear the latest news with Robert Downey Jr. What he said?
About what?
He said he will never allow his AI or likeness to ever be used by a studio if he's not the person actually voicing or actually portraying it. He said his estate is ready to sue even past his death. He's like, they will never run my voice or my likeness without me having approved on it.
I mean, I get it. I understand. I agree with these things. Truthfully, I don't know whose hands this shit is in anymore. Uh, Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I have not watched the first season. I don't want to watch the first season.
Is it good? I
Truthfully,
don't know if it was good.
even the Logan Lerman films look way better than this nonsense. Why is
I
Annabelle?
like the Logan Lerman, dude. I like the first
I
one.
wasn't I wasn't upset by the first one. The second one,
It was so weird when I found out that a lot of people didn't like the first one. I felt like I've never felt so much in a minority. I was like, oh man, I kind of like that movie.
yeah,
I was
I
like,
didn't mind it by no accounts, but this new one, dude, why is Annabeth black? Why are we doing this? I know we've probably all
oh,
complained
Jason,
as a
seven point
society.
one,
Yeah,
seven
whatever.
point one out of 10 for the Percy Jackson. Continue.
Kiss my ass. It is
Kiss my
like
ass.
why do we do the race thing? Like there's I don't know, I feel like we as a collective society have been complaining about this for many years now, and they still keep doing this, and I just don't get it. You have the opportunity to take great stories, greatly written stories, and bring them to life, and you do everything but that because you need your 2 cents involved. Just do your only job. The only thing you actually have to do is get this thing from paper to screen in the safest and most cohesive way possible, and you can't even do that. So we have about 2 minutes left. So I wanted to ask you. I asked you this question before, and you said you had an answer. So I want to know, what is the soundtrack or song that will play towards the end of your life and your death?
Okay, now I have one question
What's
because
up?
I narrowed it down to two. Do I
Okay.
have kids or not?
How did you envision your life when I asked you this?
Uh, well, because it comes down to if I died right now or
Yeah.
if it's in the future type of thing. Like, is it sound like
Nah, nah.
okay?
You're passing. I did say the end of your life, but if I'm gonna give you one, uh, if you died right now, there we
If I died right now, "Letter to My Fans" by MGK.
go. Okay.
And if I had kids in the future, last thing, I'm dead, but it's my time. It wasn't like a tragic accident.
Uh
It
huh.
would be Eminem's "When I'm Gone."
Eminem when I'm gone. Okay, I understand that one. I had a friend who I think would have picked, if not did pick that same one. Um.
So I'll give you a little quick thing.
What's up?
The biggest reason why I like the letter to my fan MGK if I died right now, and I'm not gonna do the whole thing. We're not trying to fuck things up. I'm not even gonna sing it. I'm gonna read you one line or two lines that I think really like hit home. And if you ever have the chance, listen to the song because
Okay.
it reminds me a lot of like where I'm at right now in my life. And I think it applies to all of us, especially with this project that we're undertaking right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the lines go, what if I told you I ain't quit and these drugs were still my rival? Would you regret the fact that you sobered up and had more heart than your idol?
It's not bad. You know what I mean?
It's and the whole thing is modeled kind of like that, where it's like it's kind of an ode to like and what I really again why I'm going through right now is like it's like modeling it's not modeling but mentoring or controlling expectations, like
Mm-hmm.
whether you're living up to them or not, and how people view you and how people view that your fans, your family, your friends. And
So yeah.
sometimes like it's that saying that parents do what I say, not as I do. It's that kind of like duality of like life. You want people you care about to do better than you. But then, if you do have a slip up, if you do have a fuck up, does that make you worse of a person for not living up to your own standards? Or does that make you just as human as everyone else? And what is the complex morality and duality between that? Now, I don't have an answer whether yes or no. Or maybe it's in between, but it's definitely something to think about and something that that song in particular makes me think about my own self. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so
All
yeah,
right. All right, guys. If you hate us, if you hate the things we talk about, if you hate the pictures on screen, let us know. And if you guys feel any type of way about anything we've discussed, let us know. All right. Goodbye, everybody.